Sup guys, it's Corrupted
And Drago.
with Ramen for the Soul, and today we're on episode 10 of the One Piece stuff. So I don't know if that makes it like a special episode, but it feels like it's supposed to be a special episode, so I'm gonna bring it up.
10 weeks of diving into the archetypes in the One Piece verse. You know, that is, I would say, is pretty important. I wouldn't say it's a small feat. There are smaller feats, and there definitely are bigger ones.
Yeah, that's true. It feels like 10 weeks is just under 2 months.
A little just over.
Cause if a month is like
4 full weeks.
Yeah, so about 2 months.
2 1/4.
I don't know why, but 10 months feels like, or 10 weeks feels like more or less than 2 1/4. I don't know. It just feels different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it feels like 5 weeks feels like that. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just retarded. You know, you never know.
I don't say all that.
That's a possibility. But yeah, last week, in case anybody's wondering why I was like that, so OBS disconnected from everything, and we thought it came back, and we recorded the entire episode, and apparently it got corrupted or something. I'm not 100% sure, and it's all gone now.
Yeah, so
unfortunately,
only got like 12 minutes of maybe like a 2-hour long video.
Yeah, which is like super unfortunate, because at the end there we hit some like interesting ideas. Maybe we'll get to them today, depending on how long it gets. Talk about what happened in this week, because like a lot of stuff happens, but not a lot of stuff happened. Like, we get a couple of big character moments, and like we get a bunch of Usopp being a man for once.
Yeah, learning from his mistakes.
Like Usopp not being I'm gonna stop cussing in the first 5 minutes, so I gotta come up with the word.
Also, in the first 5 minutes,
A real one.
In the first 5 minutes, we should not forget to say, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Let us know anything we have any problems with, anything we change, any counter arguments, any enhancements to what we say. Got to make sure we say that, because a lot of y'all don't get to the end.
Or like, does this background work? Should we go with something else? That's what we've been throwing around, ideas of what the background should be, because don't have it set up for camera, and don't really think should set it up for a camera where we record, just because you wouldn't really be able to see anything. So like, does this background work, or would y'all prefer like a more dynamic background? Like,
you still probably at some point.
Yeah, we're like eventually gonna get a camera.
Yeah,
but like, but for now,
yeah,
like, it's just before set up the camera, got to get a green screen and a bunch of other stuff with it, because I'm pretty sure nobody wants to see like bedroom.
Nah, it's good. It'll come.
Well, actually, it would just be a wall, since my bed's like basically on the floor, but like a green screen to put us in like this background. But like, would y'all like rather see like Burning Blood gameplay, or maybe Odyssey gameplay, One Piece Odyssey gameplay? Could pre-record some of it, or just have the computer fight each other on One Piece Burning Blood, That way it could be like the characters that are in the story. And see if it can like recreate a decent version of the fights that happen in the show, maybe.
We'll get there.
I don't know.
We'll get there.
Just let us know what you like. Which one of those options sounds the best to you guys? And I don't know how to make a poll or anything like that yet. So I might also make a poll of what background would y'all prefer this to be. But yeah. So let's get straight into the One Piece stuff. So we're finally done with Foxy. Well, technically we're not done with Foxy because we got one more episode of that insufferable split head son of a not very nice lady. Cause I hate Foxy with the passion. Y'all didn't get to see how much crap I talked on Foxy last week.
I guess
because
that
of
was to
the
say it.
yes, because of the OBS problems. But I hate
OBS
that
likes
man.
Foxy. We can see OBS likes
man.
Foxy.
Yeah, that's what happened. OBS was trying to hide him from the slander, protect you from the slander. But we had to deal with one episode of Foxy. It made me want to blow my fucking brains out. Like I'm just like, man, I bet you lead tastes better than this. Like the entire time I was watching the episodes, or that one episode, I was just like, man, that shotgun barrel looking real good right there, Kurt. I don't know if anyone's gonna get that joke. And then we get to meet Aokiji.
The Ice Admiral.
Yeah, he is a character.
Boy, forget so much.
He is, and I don't mean character like he happens to be a character, but like he's a character like what you say when someone acts weird, and you don't know the correct word. Eccentric. That's what I mean. I mean he's very eccentric. He's very. Like, he knows who Robin is, and his first thing when he sees her is just like, damn, you grew up good. He's just like, whoa, dude, what? What this man say? He's known her since she was 8, and he said that? Like,
it's probably been a while since he's seen her, but it don't justify it.
Yeah, like
but there was worse. There were worse things. Sanji's cheesed out over women he shouldn't have in this story.
Oh yeah, it's even worse though when you think about it when he like flirts with Nami, because it like saying like how he says to Robin, I think his exact words is like you grew up into quite the beautiful woman or something like that.
Yeah,
right.
That's like that Jiraiya.
Yeah.
What he said to Konan back in the G.
Yeah, but so the implication there is that he's older than Robin. And we know Robin is 28 years old because she was 8 when O'Hara burned down, and it's been 20 years, right? So, and Nami is like, what, 17? 16, 17, right? Because she's the same age as Luffy.
I actually don't know.
Like, I'm pretty sure she's like 17. Let me double check. She's 18. Okay. So he just barely gets away with it. It's like he's like 2 months away from being really fucking weird.
You also got to realize it's 2 years before the time skip.
I know. I looked up the debut. She's 20 during the time skip.
Alright.
But it was... And also, they gave him a southern accent.
That's not that important.
But... I can see it though, as someone that grew up in the South. I was just like, yeah, that fits. That tracks. But Akiji's one of the admirals. One
of the 3 strongest people in the Navy.
Well, like their nickname is like the Navy's powerhouse or something like that. Like their 3 nickname, like the nicknames for the 3. I think it's the Navy's ultimate powerhouse or something like that. But Aokiji is like very. I don't want to say playful. He just don't give a rat's ass. Like he's like meets the Straw Hats and they're just like, "What are you doing here?" Luffy's just like, "You're not taking Robin. I'll fight you over that." And he's just like, "Dude, I really don't care about Robin. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't really care. I just came out here to ride my bike. Okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep."
There to chill.
Yeah.
He ain't trying to bother nobody. He just want to chill.
Like, he's so chill. No pun intended since he has ice powers, by the way. He just is chill. He fell asleep for several hours standing up. That's how, like, conked out of it he is. Like, whatever weed they have in the One Piece universe, Aokiji be smoking that good shit.
Out of all the characters in One Piece, he probably gives me the most stoner vibes. And Smoker don't even give me that much stoner vibes, and he literally smokes.
Well, they're cigars. He looks like he just likes... Something tells me his are just like herbal cigars, or something like that.
I would go more for like blanks.
Because the smoke's white instead of like gray. So I just assumed his or something for like... just to give him more smoke to control is what I always... But Aokiji's like just chilling. He respects Luffy because he tells him his grandpa's a real one.
He knows his grandpa.
And like, we haven't been told implicitly who Luffy's grandfather is yet in the story, but we all know who it is because we've talked about it before. And you can't really escape knowing who it is if you like engage with any sort of Discord with One Piece, you know? Because his granddad is really cool. And his granddad is Garp, in case anyone was wondering. The old man that took care of Helmeppo and Kobe. Like, how many episodes ago was it? Like 100?
A lot.
Yeah, I think it's been like 4 weeks since we talked about Kobe. But, he tells him, Aokiji tells Luffy that he's just like his granddad. Like scarily like his granddad. Like they're almost the same person. A bunch of shipwrecks show up, and it turns out Aokiji's not just there to chill like he said he was. He actually shows that he's actually a pretty good dude, because he actually showed up there looking for shipwrecked people because he assumes it's the only place they can be, and he goes to that island because he knows it's uninhabited, and he's just sitting there waiting for all the castaways to show up, and because he's like the only one that can help him without a ship. So he just freezes the ocean in a straight line to the next thing.
Yep, to the next island so people can walk across.
Yeah, so he's really there to save the castaways without letting anyone in the government know that's what he's doing. So he actually shows that he's a pretty good dude, which is rare for Marines, especially the higher. Like, every Marine we've ran into... At
this point, yeah.
We've only seen, like, 2 Marines that we like. Or 2 Marine officers that we like, because like Kobe's a cool dude and Helmeppo's getting to where he's a cool dude. But like, he's the first time outside of Garp we've seen that,
someone actually doing a virtuous task, because you think...
Well, I forgot, Smoker's a good dude too. So,
you would think that the Marines would go through better like reparations and better better methods of actually protecting their people, but they really don't. And like, that was one of the first real examples we saw of like what a devil fruit in the hands of a Marine do to help someone outside of catch a pirate.
And not just devil fruit, a Logia, and one of the like better elements for Logia.
Because that boy literally froze a big section of the ocean. Like a big section.
Yeah, he froze the entire thing from the uninhabited island to a fully inhabited island. So that's gotta be several miles at least, you know? Because if you think about how long it takes Luffy and them to get from one island to the other, it probably takes like,
at least a few days.
I'm just thinking like episode time. Yeah, I'm trying to think like Little Garden to Drum Island took like 2 episodes worth of sitting in a ship. So that's gotta be at least 3 days in a boat. So 3 days. They're probably going like 30 or 40 miles an hour, I would imagine. Because like their boats don't work like our boats, like their boats are special, you know?
Do we have to go into how deep a travel is for this?
I'm just saying, like, it shows off how powerful Aokiji is.
Oh, dude, you knew how powerful he was as soon as he sunk that section of the ocean. I mean, he's froze it. You ain't need nothing else.
But I'm saying, like, how far it is. It's like... And he said it's going to take, like, a month for it to unfreeze.
Yeah, that's all you need.
So...
That's all you need. Anything else?
And then, like, what's it called? He decides, fuck it, Robin kind of deserves to die. Because he's been fed the same thing everyone else.
Yep.
So... The unspecifics of it, like, the story hasn't gotten into it yet, what Robin supposedly did. But just know, she's the only survivor from her home getting completely razed to the ground.
We're going to get there. We're going to tell them. We're going to have a point to tell them.
No, I'm just saying, and everyone that's not a high-ranking Marine, and even some of the high-ranking Marines thinks Robin did it herself. What's it called? Oh yeah, and then the other thing that makes Aokiji respect the Straw Hats is the fact that the Straw Hats go out of their way to feed, clothe, and give medical attention to all the castaways.
Yep.
And
he understands that Straw Hats aren't in it to help people, not just, their own personal gain.
Well, he doesn't have the mindset of Marine that all pirates are bad.
Yeah.
Like the typical thing.
Yeah,
he like understands that there's certain pirates that aren't massive dicks. I can't think of a better word than massive dick.
Lives in their arrogance.
Yeah, Aokiji's just like, screw it. We gotta kill Robin. She'll never change. Because Luffy kept saying stuff about wanting to fight him and stuff like that. Like, egging him on. Because Luffy thought that's what he was there to do. Because, as we've talked about before, Luffy's not very bright. That poor man's soul. So him, Aokiji, Zoro, and Sanji start a fight. Aokiji beats all 3 of them almost immediately.
Yep.
And he doesn't even attack them. They attack him.
He just shows you just how different their power is.
Yeah.
Because him freezing them and making it harder on them. Because I think the iconic scene was when Zoro's arm got froze, Luffy's fist, and I think it was Sanji's leg.
Yeah, it's Sanji's leg. Because that's what the part that hit him is what he froze on.
Yep. And he froze all of them and had them pretty much not fighting while he just walked to Robin and froze her.
Yeah. And, the big thing, is being frozen like that probably feels like whatever's frozen is on fire.
Yeah, because that's a real frozen.
Especially like we saw, like it almost killed Robin being frozen.
Yeah.
Like they had to put her in a hot shower and leave her in there for a while.
Yep.
For her to unfreeze. But so Luffy's just like, nah, we're gonna do this 1-on-1. It's just gonna be you and me. And Aokiji's just like, I like the cut of this guy's jib. I guess we're gonna fight.
And then like
And then
through the fight,
over.
no, even through the fight, as he's like dismantling him, he realizes, oh, he was only doing this to give his crew a chance to take Robin, while at the same time giving his own crew a chance to escape. But he trusts the crew so much that he know they're gonna come back and get him. So this was all a big ass gamble, but a calculated gamble.
But also, that's not the only thing they're gambling on. He realizes they realized that he was there just to help the castaways, because he cares enough about his reputation of being a good dude not to go attack the Straw Hats right away, because he realizes it would make him look like a piece of shit.
Yep.
It's just like he says, I'm trying to remember the exact words, is if I do that, I'll look like the bad guy, is what he says. Like,
because as a Marine, they still gotta save face at the end of the day.
Yeah, but also like most Marines don't care about the face that they save, but
Yep.
I think Aokiji, I think he legitimately cares.
Look at you not saying Aljiki today.
It's because I wrote it down a bunch, so I remember how it's spelled now. So like I know who he is. He's the dude that looks.
And
like
you know that's
Usopp
actually
before.
Aokiji's not even his name. That's just his rank. Kuzan is his actual name.
Like Kuzan.
Yeah.
Kuzan.
Because Kuzan, I think it's like Blue Ape or Blue Monkey or something. It's one name or something. I know Kizaru is Yellow Monkey. And I know Akainu is Red Dog. It's the other name they have. That's their real name. So it's Kuzan, Porcelino, and Sakazuki. That's like their actual names.
I know it's Sakazuki. I know
Yeah.
that's it. And I know Borsalino, his name. And how I know that is it from the show. It's from the card game, because all of his fucking cards are written like they're written in the English way to say names.
Yeah.
Except for characters like Luffy
Yeah.
and Ace. They are Porcus D. Ace and Monkey D. Luffy and Monkey D. Garp and all that.
Monkey D. Dragon.
Yeah. Like ones with
Trafalgar
actual
D.
like
Waterloo.
last names and first names.
Like with the D initial and stuff
Yeah.
that.
But they follow the like naming conventions of everything in One Piece so far.
Borsalino.
So his name is Borsalino Kizaru in the card game. And like all of them, like Lucci, who we'll get to in a few minutes, is Rob Lucci.
Yeah, that's how it is in there.
Yeah, but they just call him Lucci.
Yeah.
But you know that, like, so I know people's names for the wrong reasons. It's because I play the card game sometimes.
Yeah.
The card game is actually pretty good.
You ain't the first one to say it.
I just refuse to spend money on it because I play too many card games. But what's it called? If y'all want, if we get enough like stuff about it, we'll do like a stream one day where we play the card game, because we got in our local area there's a pretty big following, and we can just set up and record locals episodes if y'all want to see it.
Let us know.
Yeah, we could do like featured matches at locals if we need to. Because our local scene's actually pretty big. There's like 12 people that show up every day. Or every Monday. Which isn't bad at all. So, I think sometimes it's like 20 something. I don't know how they do that on Monday at 7. I couldn't do that shit. I need my sleep too much. But yeah, so Aokiji, he doesn't beat Luffy like normal people beat Luffy. It's more like he's fighting a kid, is what it's like. You know what I mean? Like, he's not Like, everyone else just tries to overpower Luffy. It's like, he's just like, I really don't care, bro. You can't do anything to me. He just big brothers Luffy.
That's just, I see it as much as how he treats an enemy that's not a real threat to him.
It's like he knows Luffy doesn't have hockey.
Yeah, he knows Luffy is not strong enough to beat him where he's at. And it's like he said, he really wasn't trying to bring him in. Because if he wanted to, he showed you, if he wanted to bring you in, he could have.
But remember, he wasn't going to bring Robin in. He was just going to kill her.
Yep.
But also, it makes you wonder, does he do all that just so he can tell them if it turns out that they knew that he ran into Robin? They can be like, I ran into Resistance and that's why I did it. Because he knows Luffy's exactly like his granddad and knew that when he saw something that looked unjust, he'd fight against it.
We know later that Robin's been a fugitive for a long time. So him killing her wouldn't have been nothing but fulfilling that bounty that she always had.
Yeah, because after the fight, he says, I'm not going to kill you because I owe your granddad a life, so I can't kill you.
Yeah, talking about Luffy.
Yeah, is what he tells Luffy.
And that's why he couldn't kill Luffy.
Yeah.
But in Robin's case.
But I'm talking about, like, he leaves before fighting them because, like we said earlier, he realizes that how Luffy did it would make him the bad guy, and he cares about being the bad guy or not.
Yep.
So I wonder if the entire thing was, like, it fits his character that the entire fight was just to say that Robin escaped, in case anyone said that they saw Robin, because the castaway saw Robin, to make sure that they couldn't, like, world go. I wonder if that's why. It's just if that is why, that's a cool character moment for Aokiji. They lose to Aokiji. Aokiji rides his bike back to Marine headquarters. That's right, he doesn't drive a ship. He uses his ice powers to make a road for his bike on the water. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. That he just rides a bike everywhere. Like, he even ran it through the woods on the island. Like, they find the tire tracks on the island. It's interesting.
Aokiji's all the animals got pretty interesting ways of traveling. We don't see that later, but right now on Aokiji, we see his is the bike. He'll be the first admiral we see. I think the next one will be, the next one will be Kizaru.
Yeah,
and he does show
300 episodes. I think
he'll show us another little crazy way of travel that we ain't gonna see up until that point.
And then they thaw off Luffy, and they almost run into a lighthouse. But it's not really a lighthouse. It's actually a stop for a train.
Yep.
On the water, called the Sea Train. It's a weird idea. You know?
I'd say it's more interesting than anything.
Well, like, the reason I say it's a weird idea is because it doesn't have tracks, right?
Yeah, it has tracks.
It has tracks?
Yeah.
So, that means the circle where it is, right? A ship can't go through it.
I wouldn't say it can't because the tracks sit just a little bit under the water.
But the boat goes a good bit under the water.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, in Water 7, those people technically build ships.
Yeah.
And fix ships. So even
that's like their whole thing.
Even if like a ship or something was to get messed up, and I don't even think the tracks would get messed up. I think the ship would, for the tracks would.
Or maybe it's like that's why they wanted that. It's that way you couldn't drive a ship directly to certain places.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's probably why they wanted the train. Because remember, it was like we learned why they made the train.
I also would imagine that. Because they made the train to get through and cross the network of islands and stuff.
Yeah, it was to connect Water 7 to a bunch of places, but the world government judge was like specifically it has to connect to an East lobby.
Yep.
So maybe it was to keep it to where you can't just ride a boat, like you can't attack an East lobby is maybe what it is.
Could be, definitely.
That's clever if that's why Oda did it. Or maybe he just thought that it was cool that a choo-choo train is on the water and forgot about the fact that the tracks are there.
I mean, I'm fine with it, whichever it be. I thought the idea was great. Like, I don't need to go into anything extra to like the idea any more than I already do. It's one of the reasons why Water 7 is one of my favorite arcs, because of that train.
I like the other train more.
Yeah, we'll
get there next week though. It's cool.
We will get there.
But they run into a drunk old lady. That's her entire character, is that she drinks all the time.
Yep.
And she says, "Go to Water 7. They got some of the best shipwrights in the world. Here's a letter of introduction to my buddy Iceberg." And it's just like a picture drawn by like a little kid.
Yep. And it's crazy because with the hindsight 2020, you just see that's just their relationship. Like, she treats Iceberg and Frankie like her
like kids,
pretty much.
Yeah, because she was close with like their surrogate father.
Yep.
So they go to Water 7. They get the gold that the people gave them in Skypiea that they thought they stole, but no, they were just given the gold. We see Nami smart because the guy tries to rip him off, and it's just like, yo, dude, we know that's not worth 100 million, 300 million, and it shows us like the economy of the world government is kind of fucked.
Oh yeah.
Like they got insane inflation, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, dude, they got more inflation than Biden up in economics, dude. They got more inflation than the COVID years, bro. Like, I don't understand how their money system works, but it makes you wonder though, seeing like the money system now. How did it take Nami so long to save up 100 million berries? Or is it just in the East Blue there's no inflation?
I just think in East Blue, since they said the East Blue's like the weakest of all the seas, that there's just not a lot of money flowing around.
But there's Locktown, and Locktown was like booming because it's like the.
It wasn't like booming though. I mean, they still had rundown parts in Locktown too.
Yeah, but there's rundown parts of every town, no matter how booming it is. Like, just look at Dubai, like half of it's not even real.
No, like, Nami wasn't trying to get to Logtown. I think she was on places that was like where they came from on that away. Like, I don't think she was trying to go towards Logtown. Because you see, once they got to Logtown, the government presence rose up, like, even higher than where they were. That's we start seeing smoke.
Well, that's because all the pirates want to stop at Locktown.
So that would explain why Nami wouldn't want to go there.
Huh?
Like, with the government presence being high, with pirates wanting to always stop in Logtown, Nami not wanting to go there makes sense since she was a thief.
But it would make sense for her to want to go there so she could rob all the pirates.
But she's a thief. There's a high chance for her getting caught. Versus with her going the other way, you saw her going the other way, the government presence was significantly smaller. It only got bigger as they got to Logtown. And once they got to Logtown, they said it was bigger, the government presence was bigger because all the pirates wanted to stop there.
And they all want to stop there because that's where...
And Nami trying to get fast money and a lot of it quick, she would want more small time at the time, people she could just get in and go and who didn't have the resources to come back and get her.
I think she just didn't know what Locktown was yet.
I would also say that.
But
or a big enough reason to go there and not knowing where it was, or even a big enough reason to find out where it was.
But also, like, nobody can come back and get her either, for real. Because of, like, Arlong is, like, who you have to answer to.
Yeah.
She, like, stole another small-time pirates, like, all their gold.
Yeah.
And then Arlong would just destroy them.
Yeah.
So. But. Because, like, Arlong's a piece of shit, but he would protect Nami with a lot just because she's so valuable.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Not because he's, like, a good dude, but because Nami's...
asset.
Yeah. Because Nami's worth, like, probably in the billions of berries.
Yeah,
based on navigatorial skills.
Like how much she knows.
Yeah, I don't think navigatorial is an actual word, but we're going to use it. To get to where 7, Nami's just like calls out the dude, gets them what their money's worth. They
got 300 million.
Yeah, they got 300 million big ones. Well, actually, they're berries, so they got 300 million little ones. But
you know, it's crazy how you see Luffy and his crew react when they got a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, because... So, it's weird. So, apparently, 300 million berries is like almost an infinite amount of money to a normal person is how they act.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's also not that much money at the same time. So, I don't understand. Because, like, they could... Like, when they have... So, the money gets stolen. And they get it back with the help from a shipwright named Polly. Polly works for Iceberg. That's how they meet Iceberg. Because they were looking for him, but Iceberg was busy. Yep. They run into him. A dude named Kaku goes to look at their ship to assess it.
Big nose number 2.
Yep. And so...
I'm talking about that man really jumped over the city.
He pulled a fucking Spider-Man, dog.
Like, with no webs. Like, but he really went through there. And I remember seeing that for the first time, and I was actually really messing with that whole scene and how he got to the ship. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, he pulled some Naruto shit.
Real talk, like really jumped through the whole rooftops,
like did
sky, soaring like a little eagle.
The what's it called? Who was it that was it Naruto running away from Bandage Nose dude? There's somebody that's like, I can't remember what it was, but it's early Naruto, and they like cover the entire city in a couple of seconds. It reminded me of that scene.
Yeah,
I think it's Kid Naruto, but I can't remember.
It sounds familiar.
But he like clears the entire city in a couple of seconds. It reminded me of that. It was nice. It was a good little scene. But the 300 million would not just fix the Mary. They could apparently afford like the biggest class of ships with 300 million.
Like galleons.
And have money left over. No, like stuff bigger than galleons. Like they could apparently afford.
I don't know what their classification is. It was like some big rig.
Coronado is what
what
the Mary is. It's like called a Coronado or something like that.
Yeah, but it's like something bigger. Like
But then they see like Usopp talks about it. He's just like, oh my god, this is it's a special name cannon, but they're like the best cannons in the world. And apparently they had enough money. He was just like, we probably got enough money to buy 3 of those and still have plenty of money saved up. So it's like 300 million berries is a lot, but not a lot. And then later on, what 200 million berries buys is almost completely priceless. So it's like, it's really like berries don't have, like the exchange rate of berries is constantly changing. It's really weird.
And I think it's really like barterous too. Like you know, people name their price,
but also everything's backed by gold in their economy too. Remember, like gold backs everything. It's not like our economy where it's like criticism. But so what 200 million berries buys is wood from
the Adam tree,
which is like wood as hard as iron or steel.
with all the stuff the sun goes through. Jesus, it was worth it.
What it's like supposed to be like the strongest whatever. The keel's supposed to be virtually indestructible.
Virtually.
Because it's like fucking like 8 inches thick of atom wood. Of wood from the atom tree.
That's
the
probably
atom tree
the thing
is
I'm
like,
most.
Just think of the atom tree as like Yggdrasil for One Piece.
Yeah.
It's probably the best, or maybe not Yggdrasil. That's probably Eve. Eve's probably closer. Would be the spirit tree. Would be the spirit tree from Norse mythology, the one that like Freyr, whoever it was.
Yeah.
That's like the.
But the damn tree's just fucking humongous.
Yeah. It's like the tree from Avatar.
Yeah.
Like the
that's
blue
probably
people.
The best way.
The blue people Avatar, like the tree's like fucking like. It's like the size of a small country.
What was his name again? I freaking forgot.
I don't know. It has some made up James Cameron name.
Etta or something.
But so it's very the buying power of the berry is very all over the place.
We see it.
It's very.
I think the best economic explanation we get is when we get to Dressrosa and Wano. Once we really start seeing how the economy moves in the background of things versus the forefront.
It would make sense that the world government's like manipulating it that way, like.
Oh, what, bro? They probably like with them just introducing, people and stuff, putting prices and stuff on their head. I can immediately see somebody trying to sell someone a product and be like, I'm trying to sell you this product. Oh, it's not worth that, but this pirate such and such is worth like 200-300. Like, look at him, he's or some stuff. Like, I can 100% see that. But people using the bounties of other people off just prices and stuff.
But I can also see if it's not just, it's like they can control how much they're paying the Marines.
Yeah.
For their job by changing like how much a berry is worth.
Yeah.
Easily.
They do.
Could be.
I can see that.
That's what
especially
I would
with the amenities and stuff they get. They probably get like crazy amenities and stuff.
But that would be my assumption of how they do it. I could be wrong, but if I was them, that's how I do it. If I was Oda, that's how I would write it. So that they control it, just so that the Marines never feel like they don't make enough.
You do realize we're talking about like a small finite point of something that doesn't matter, right? To like the plot. Like we went this whole time. We could go the rest of the story and not know how Marines get paid, and would change absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it would change absolutely nothing about the plot, but it would affect how engrossed we are in it because Oda cared that much about some detail.
At this point in the story, no. Because think about it.
It's like a really good video game, and they took the extra time to make the textures on random shit look dope.
But at this point, that would be like them, because where the where the manga is right now after they just revealed that they're going to sink the whole world and that the Marines are part of it, and he already wrote in dialogue of the Marines reacting to that news of them being a part of the plot to sink the world. Just for him to come in now.
Spoiler warning, by the way.
Yeah, just for him to come right in now and be like, oh, y'all get paid that. It would be like, the only comparison we would make now to that is like, y'all either were getting paid shit just to be a part of one to sink the world, or y'all were getting paid good to help sink the world. That's the only thing we would draw to it at this point.
Because like the officers can get away with murder. And like, what's his name? Like, had enough money to take the chick. Like, Iron Body had enough money to go to the Baratier and act like it was nothing. And the Baratier probably cost a lot of money.
Probably.
Because the Popeye looking dude.
I don't know. Actually, no. I don't think Jeff would try to be. Zeph. I don't think he's the one would try to like get over on people.
Well, no. It's the reason I would assume it costs a bunch of money is because it's in the middle of nowhere, so food would cost a lot. So he probably runs it as he probably doesn't run it like way above cost, but he has to run it above cost.
Mm-hmm.
But that has absolutely nothing to do with the story at hand. It's just some random observations about bullshit. So I apologize for having a Benny the Squirrel moment. So what's it called? The Usopp goes to look at a real fancy cannon made out of copper. He gets kidnapped by the people that tried to steal their money earlier. They're called the Frankie family. What's it called? The entire reason no one realizes that Usopp got kidnapped is because people in the One Piece universe are stupid. Which is hilarious. It's because they thought the people on the shipyard thought it was Kaku from a distance, even though Kaku always wears a fucking hat. Because they just saw the long nose and assumed it was Kaku.
That just lets you know just how they keep up with each other's appearance.
I can't wait for them to notice, like, even stupider differences, though. Like, two people that look the same besides something really stupid. You know? Like, so let's say, like, there's somebody with, like, their right arm amputated and someone with their left arm amputated.
I believe it.
And then they'll get them confused still. Because Kaku and Usopp don't look similar at all. Like, Kaku's nose is even, like, square or rectangular.
Yeah.
And, like, square. Way fatter than Usopp's. But that's neither here nor there. So, the Frankie brothers kidnap Usopp and steal the money. And they beat the crap out of Usopp.
Like, bad.
Like they beat the brakes off this dude. And then it cuts to Chopper and Robin shopping. And Robin disappears because someone whispers in her ear CP9. And
CP9.
And you're just like, what the fuck does that mean? For the next like 7 or 8 episodes.
CP9.
And long story short, CP9 is like the NSA for the world government. Like, it's the one, like, people don't know they exist, but they know they exist, but they don't know, like, the people in it exist. And if they show up, somebody dies. Like, if their name's being thrown around about something, those guys are... Yeah, I had a yawn. Excuse me. That yawn kind of hurt my chin.
I sound a little more awake now.
Yeah. Ow, that actually hurt. You know, like when you yawn a little too, like, long.
Kind of open that jaw.
Yeah, and it, like, cramps. Damn.
Open that jaw.
And then... And then Kaku is looking around the ship and tells Zoro something ominous. We don't get to see what it is, but he tells Zoro something ominous.
Something very bad news, troubling news.
And then cuts back to Luffy talking, or no, it doesn't. What am I talking about? Nami finds Usopp, like, his nose is broken in like 3 different directions.
Yeah.
Like it's like a zigzag.
No, you was right. It did cut back to them first.
Like, yeah, like I'm out of order.
Yeah, no, it's straight though.
Yeah. Hopefully people know what I'm talking about, because this is not supposed to be like a recap thing. It's like trying to find metaphors in it. But it just makes it make more sense to go with the story flow. So needless to say, when they find out what happened to Usopp, the Straw Hat Boys go and beat the brakes off of the Frankie family. Yeah. But first we learn Luffy asked Iceberg to join the crew. Obviously. Iceberg's just like, why the hell would I do that? But he says, if you can convince any of my shipwrights to join your crew, they're more than welcome to go with you. The ominous thing that Kaku told Zoro is that the keel on the Going Merry is broken beyond repair, and so the Going Merry is totally unfixable. Can't be fixed. And Kaku says that the ship would not survive riding to the next island. And it's heavily implied that it was the fall from Skypiea that broke it. Because that's the first island they made it to since.
And it's crazy that when you really think about it, all the stuff that ship had been through before Skypiea, the climb up to Reverse Mountain, all that, basically it getting pummeled and stuff through on their way from, Drum all the way to Alabasta and all that, just for them to go 10,000 feet in the air and fall 10,000 feet guided, for the most part, but to fall that little remaining 2,000 or so after the octopus, gave out, just for them to have just a hurt keel and not the whole ship just destroy itself.
That's not the only thing. That they also got dropped in G8.
Yeah.
And G8 destroyed the front of the hull.
Yeah.
So like that's probably what broke it. Remember, they got completely like shored.
Yeah. It's so much that happened to that ship to just for them not to have a shipwright, like a trained shipwright.
Yeah, it's just Usopp banging.
Just Usopp banging, putting little pieces here and there on, and whatever that Klabauterman did. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're gonna learn that there's a fairy that sounds. It has a really stupid name, but it's a fairy. And I'm just saying, it sounds like it's from Elbath.
It does, though. It does.
You know what else is from Elbath? Dory. Dory was from Elbath. That's who was from Elbath. It's totally not Luffy. Luffy's not from Elbath, but part of him is from Elbath, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And so the keel is that big board at the bottom of the ship that everything else is connected to.
Yeah.
And Lucci's bird explains to them, you can't make the same ship, like you can't fix the Going Merry because you can't make an identical ship, and you have to take a ship apart to fix the keel, so you just gotta get a new ship. And what's it called? Luffy says about the Going Merry. The Going Merry is the ship of the Straw Hat Pirates. If she's repaired, she can still sail. She'll be fine. You'll see. She's got us here today, didn't she? And you tell us out of nowhere she can't sail anymore. I can't believe that. You guys are saying that because you don't know her. You have no idea how strong she is. Trying to convince Kaku and Iceberg and them to fix the Going Merry. But they're just like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I understand it's hard to cope with, but the Going Merry's unfixable. If you keep doing it, y'all are all gonna drown. Sorry, but that's how it is. It's basically how Kaku's trying to be polite about it. And Iceberg Khalifa, Iceberg's assistant, gives them a brochure that shows them, since they have enough money to buy whatever kind of ship they want, to see what kind of ship they want to get. And then we see Nami finds Usopp all jacked up and then the Straw Hat Boys are just like, time to get some payback.
Yep. This is literally one of the great coolest outings of the Straw Hat that we see, because even up in where we are now in the anime, where it's current, one thing that these last couple arcs have taught me and showed me is that one thing we haven't seen from the Straw Hats is them go up against another pirate crew. Like Blackbeard has his fights, like with Blackbeard versus Law and Egghead, and just how Blackbeard fights. You see him fight with all of his crew, if not a lot of them, when it's him and a lot of, against another pirate crew, because we saw that with him and Law, just how all his crew is doing something just against another crew. So I know we see Fishman Island and stuff like that. We see them branch off and go fight one-on-one battles. We don't know what a synchronized Straw Hat fight is like. How in Naruto we saw how Team 7 fights, how Team 10 fights.
I don't think you can have a coordinated fight with the Straw Hats.
I think it's possible, but it's gonna be
no.
harder.
I mean, they're they complement each other's fighting styles incorrectly.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes any sense, like you see, like, Zoro and Sanji, they hate each other with a passion, but, like, in the Silver Foxy thing, they're just, like, 10 seconds, we'll act like we like each other.
Yeah.
And then they immediately win in that 10-second window.
Yeah.
Because they're, like, on it. But, like, with, like, the Luffy pirate, or the Straw Hat Pirates, it's, like, when they fight with Luffy, he's so much stronger than them, like the rest of his crew, that it really doesn't make sense for them to fight synchronized, because it just makes Luffy weaker.
I see what you're saying, but we see it more so not in fights where their coordination shines. Like, we'll get there, but in Fishman Island, when they were on the way there, and they had that whole spat with the big old Kraken, and it was like, yeah, Luffy's in the front line, Zoro and Sanji are kind of behind him, but kind of with him. But we see the ship getting in trouble, the people behind the ship doing their thing to make sure things stay afloat. And when the ship gets knocked back, Robin catches it off the thing so it doesn't get destroyed. And, stuff like that. And I feel like you only have those type of fights later when they understand their roles. And where they are now, going into, they still kind of don't understand their roles in the crew, especially when it comes to functionality.
I think Zoro 100% understands his role.
I mean,
because he keeps trying to tell everybody else what their role is, and they try to argue with him and tell him that he's wrong.
Yep.
But you see, like, every time he's right. Whenever he's saying, like, that's not your job is this. And he's not saying it to be mean.
No.
He's just saying this is what it is.
For reality purposes, yeah.
Like with Chopper, he's just like, Chopper, you're the doctor. You don't make the decisions on this stuff. Stay in your lane, sort of thing. It's like he understands, like, because his job, for lack of a better term, is to make sure nothing happens to the ship from, like, outside forces. Like, he's the one that always stays on the ship to make sure no one messes with it and stuff like that. Like, he gets, like I feel like him and Luffy know their job, and Nami knows her job, and Sanji, for the most part, knows his role.
It wasn't, but, like, where they can, knowing their role and where they can function is kind of what they're struggling with, because that's why we still have, what they call the weakness trio still doing stuff where they don't get into plays too often. But that's what I want to see. I want to see, especially, I think we're probably not going to get it until it's time for Luffy to go against Blackbeard, when we see a crew versus crew like that. Or they might do it for Shanks, but I doubt it.
I just don't know how Blackbeard's supposed to stand up to modern Luffy.
Oh, yeah, he can. It's Luffy that's catching up to Blackbeard in power, not the other way around.
No, I'm just saying, like in its current thing, like if Law could do something to Blackbeard, right? I'm not saying win. I'm just saying if he can prove to be a big enough threat to Blackbeard that they have to fight like that. Like, Luffy makes, like, Law look like he don't fucking matter. Now.
Yeah, strength wise and stuff like that.
So that's what I'm getting at. It's like, because like Luffy's so far ahead of almost everybody now with Gear 5. Because what's it called? Blackbeard, there's a good chance he couldn't beat Kaido. Like, I'm not saying for
not
sure.
Like the way Luffy did. He would have to do something totally different. Like, in his approach. In Luffy's approach, it would have to be something totally different.
But I mean, like in an actual fight with Kaido, he probably would not have won that fight.
Yeah.
Or with Big Mom, he probably wouldn't have won that fight.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
I definitely see
that's what I'm getting at. It's like he might be able to, like he might have been stronger.
I realize, like, one thing to keep in the head, realize the way Luffy did it was very, very unethical according to their standards of like how they go about war. The way Luffy just goes in, they make all these plans and they just kind of fall apart for no reason. Like, that's highly unethical from what they go through and what they do. But I know he definitely would not have did it Luffy's way and come out even a quarter of okay. But there might have been a way, but definitely I can't perceive that. That's another question. Like, if Blackbeard had to fight Kaido or Big Mom, what would have been his strategy for it?
He probably would have done something super underhanded.
Yeah.
But also, there's a good chance that his underhanded stuff just doesn't work, too.
Yeah.
And he just has to legitimately fight them, and then he would just lose. Because, like, he couldn't fight Whitebeard. Like, even in Whitebeard's weakened state, he couldn't beat Whitebeard. Like, he knew Whitebeard would just, like, almost insta-kill him. So he had to let everyone else run everything, like, use up all old, sick, dying Whitebeard's energy before he could touch him, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get that he's stronger now, but I'm saying, like, this is way post-prime Whitebeard. Like, Whitebeard that's way weaker than Kaido, way weaker than Big Mom at the current time. Just because he's, like, on the verge of death, you know? It took that to be able to do it. And he had to, like, sneak up on him and be like, cool, I'm going to take this, I'm going to kill still, y'all. Sort of thing. It's just one of those. It has nothing to do with the arc that we're on now, though. But it's just a thought. But yeah, so they beat the mess out of the Frankie brothers and destroy the house.
Like, absolutely destroy it.
And then we get a flashback. So after Nami left Usopp there, Usopp, for the first time in his life, like, does the manliest thing he can do. And that's he goes to try to fight them. Like, fight the Frankie brothers to get the money back. Because for the first time in his life, he's taken, like, full responsibility for his failure. Like, every other time, he's deflected.
Yep.
You know? Like, every other time, he's been like, well, that's because they had powers. That's because this or that. But this is, like, the first time that his inadequacy is, like, actively hurt everyone else.
Yep. That's crazy when you look at that. Because it's like, the whole time he been going through, it's like he been, any type of wrongdoing he been avoiding. It's just been because he only looking at it now that they came out on top. Like, him looking back at his inadequacies and his foolishness. It's like, hey, but we won, though. You don't have that luxury here.
Yeah, he doesn't have that luxury. Also, it's him. Like, he doesn't have any backup for the first time ever. Because, like, every other time, he's had, like, the last time he had to grit his teeth was in Alabasta. And he had, what's it called? Because he didn't really have to grit his teeth in Skypiea. Because he had Luffy and Sanji to fight the dude for him. But it was Alabasta when he fought number 4 and missed Christmas.
Yeah.
This Merry Christmas. Like, it's the first time he actually had to grit his teeth and get stuff done. And when he had Chopper backing him up in Skypiea, this is the first time he himself has to do it. Because he didn't just mess up a little bit. Because if he would have just stayed with Luffy, nothing would have happened. Like, it's all... Like, it's all the Frankie brothers' faults for stealing the money. But there's also a lot of blame on Usopp for being so careless with the money.
Yeah.
And so it's like the first time that his mistake almost, like, because he also understands, like, this money has to be used to help the Mary, or we can't have the Mary anymore. So he has to face his inadequacy for the first time, because this entire time, he's like, I'll just be carried by the fact that all my people are so OP for where we're at when he goes forward. But now he's just like, I have to do this because I'm the only one that can do this because there's no one to save me this time. So he goes to try to confront the Frankie brothers, or Frankie family, and Frankie himself, and gets even more jacked up than before. And they basically throw his unconscious body. He's barely alive when Chopper finds him outside. And then Chopper fixes him up, and then Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, and Chopper beat the Frankie family within like inches of their lives. Like, also another thing that's inconsistent is how strong Frankie is right now. Cause in like Thriller Bark, he's not this strong. It reminded me of like when you unlock a new character, like when you fight him as a boss, he's like super OP.
I mean,
but when you
Thriller
unlock
Bark
him, he's not that
was a
strong.
different monster. Like,
but you know what I
nobody
mean?
really
Like,
was strong enough in Thriller Bark.
But you know what I mean, though. Like in this arc, he fights Luffy on like equal footing, but like in a little bit later, with like there's really no training between now and Thriller Bark for Luffy at least, and Luffy's like much higher up than Frankie is. It's just,
yeah, but I mean, that's not like what. Like, the stuff that we see Frankie do in Thriller Bark versus how... Like, he don't even have as many fights in Thriller Bark as he does between Enies Lobby and Water 7. Like, in Thriller Bark, he doesn't have any one-on-one fights.
I get that, but I'm just saying, like, we see... Like, Water 7, they show him off as, like, on par with Luffy.
Yeah,
but he's not.
But Luffy's not... Luffy doesn't fight. All his main fights in Thriller Bark are not even like just him.
I get that,
like,
but what
Nightmare
I'm saying is
Luffy
like,
and like
what I'm getting is like Luffy has the motivation to absolutely crush Frankie for what he did to Usopp.
Yeah.
But okay, so there is big if. You could argue that Luffy is like still upset about what happened the night before. You know, because we did skip something. So when they talk to Usopp, like they get Usopp back, get him doctored up and talk to him, and they tell him the Mary can't be fixed. There's no helping it. Like Zoro says, when people are talking about it, Zoro says human beings become stronger, hardship after hardship. Ships are different. Their wounds just pile up. And like Usopp's freaking out, just like I lost the money, and Luffy's just like, dude, I don't even care about the money, dude. We got you back. That's what matters. Like, you're good. Like, the money stuff doesn't matter. And Usopp thinks that it's his fault. Because he thinks that he's just saying that to save him. Because while Usopp was asleep, Luffy tells Sanji, like, I've decided it's time to part ways with the Mary. We need to move on. And it's kind of like Luffy saying that he's not just saying we need to move on. He's also saying, like, we need our foundations to be stronger.
Yep.
Like all of us need a level up is basically what he's saying when he's saying we need a new ship. And that bleeds into the conflict that's like going on this entire arc. Well, not entire arc, because it ends in like this conflict between Usopp and Luffy only lasts like 20 something episodes. So it's not like the entire arc. Because it ends at like 156 or something like that. When like he realizes like Luffy's right. When Usopp realizes. But what it is Usopp finds out that the Mary's unfixable, and he thinks that the Mary's unfixability is 100% his fault because he's convinced that it cost more than $100 million to fix the Mary at first. And he's like, don't tell me that I didn't screw it up. I totally screwed it up. This is all my fault. If I didn't lose the money, we could fix the Mary. And they're just like, no, dude. There's nothing we can do to fix the Mary. You can't make a second Mary. It's just the Mary's over. We got to get a new ship. And Usopp's losing his mind. And Usopp sees them going, like it's not implicitly said, but it's clear that Oda is using the Mary at this point as a metaphor for Usopp himself, because they're from the same place.
Yep.
They're both much weaker than their contemporaries. You know, like they're much weaker than the other ones around them. But it's Usopp sees the Mary as tied to his self-worth because they come from the same place. So learning that it can't be fixed is like telling him he can't get stronger.
Yeah.
Like that's his whole thing is like he...
And you can even take it a step further, because telling him the Mary can't be fixed, just like you say, telling him he can't be stronger. So telling them there's no more improvements and no more repairs we can make for the Mary is almost like telling him that he has no hope.
Yeah. You could also say like the Mary is how he sees his ability to be a pirate. And so if you can't make the Mary better, he can't be a better pirate too.
And even my own, when my first watching it, I felt like the only value that up to that point, the only value Usopp really bought to the crew was giving them that ship. That's what it always felt like for me.
Well, wasn't given the ship by them. He was given the ship by Kaido.
Yeah, but still, like you say, the ship comes from the same place. Yeah. So he feels like that he was instrumental in them getting to marry. So he feels like it's kind of his thing. Like the Mary came from where I came from. So if y'all never came to where I came, y'all never get to marry. And I felt like that was a part of value that he kept, through the whole crew. And then once the Mary lost his value, he felt like he just could have no more value.
Yeah, he definitely feels like
and
he
also,
lost his worth.
It does feel like it if in some alternate parallel universe, if they kill off Usopp here, I could easily see Franken replacing Usopp in some parallel universe. Like, you easily take...
So, Usopp has, like, in a narrative sense, he has a purpose.
Yeah.
Because he's clearly supposed to be the comic relief.
Yeah.
In a story where everything is comic relief, but he's still supposed to be the one that you don't take serious. And, like, the entire thing is, I think what he's designed to do is show what happens to, like, from a narrative perspective. He's supposed to be the normal person among a bunch of superhumans.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to show you, like, what happens to a normal person when they're constantly forced to push themselves.
Constantly forced to push their limits.
Yeah, so, like in post-time skip, he's, like, much stronger than a normal person.
Right.
But he's still weak. Like, he carries around, like, a paper-mache friggin' hammer.
Yeah, but I feel like he got stronger in his utility and his use. Like, his whole thing over that time skip was trying to be more useful, so he got the plants, and the plants end up being a whole bunch of different things they could use in a niche in a pinch of a time.
Yeah. But like the whole thing is, I think he's supposed to be the everyman to show us like in the show The Boys, like how Huey's the normal person thrust into an insane circumstance.
Yeah.
I think that's what Usopp's supposed to be for One Piece.
That makes sense.
Like he's supposed to be the thing that grounds everything, so it doesn't feel like
too far-fetched.
Well, not far-fetched, but like he's the one that's the easiest to identify with because he's a normal dude. But then like Oda went one step further and he's like based off Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Like he constantly BS's and everything. And he has the super long nose. But there is one thing he's very good at, is he's one of the best snipers in the world, confirmed.
Oh yeah.
But he uses a weapon that's infinitely more inferior to everything every other sniper uses.
Yeah.
He just uses a slingshot.
Yeah.
So he uses a toy to achieve what other people achieve with guns. So it's like when you take the everyman and force them to follow the Ubermensch, they transcend the normal bounds of what it means to be human and can achieve greatness is probably the best way to look at it. But we're a little ahead of ourselves in that department.
But even then, it's funny because even what happens next kind of shows that and puts that off, because just how in this whole situation, Usopp, even with the Mary, getting rid of the Mary at that point just felt like if you were watching the story with no kind of indication ever, them getting rid of the Mary was kind of a weird feeling. It wasn't a good feeling, but it was a weird feeling because you didn't know what shit was coming next. You didn't know what they would do without the Mary because the Mary had been there for so long. And then Usopp, having him identify with the Mary so much that he would rebel against the crew. Even his reasonings weren't bad, but he was misinformed.
I feel like his reasonings were bad, personally, just because they're all born from ignorance and him being...
Yeah, that's why I say he was misinformed.
But it's not just that. It's also, he's not just misinformed. It's also he is... Emotionally
caught up.
He's too afraid to admit his uselessness. And so he has to admit his uselessness to get to a point where he's no longer useless. But he refuses to admit to the crew that he's useless.
But he's always been like that, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying this is the first time he's forced to admit it to
he couldn't bullshit his way out of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying. That's cool, but that's when I look at it from what he meant for keeping the Mary, like he was misinformed. So all his things were based off emotion, and his emotions weren't in the wrong places because they had been through a lot with that ship at that point. Well, but it's like as a captain, he wasn't thinking like as a captain.
No, I'd say his emotions are in the wrong place because he's projecting everyone he's like projecting and lashing out at like Luffy and everyone else. But he's really just mad at his own inadequacies because the reason that he thinks that the Mary's falling apart is because he couldn't do it.
Yeah, but that's subliminal.
Like that's his entire like utility he thinks he brings.
That's all the underlying stuff and the motives behind. But when I'm talking about his emotions, like even Luffy felt the same way he felt about the Mary. Like everybody was very emotionally attached to the Mary.
Well, yeah, they're all attached to the Mary, but Usopp has extra
attachment. Plus, he was misinformed. That breeds disaster right there. He had an extra attachment. Plus, he was misinformed about the whole situation. On top of that, he's not thinking how Luffy's thinking because he's a captain. He has to make sure everybody's okay, and he has to understand that this ship is pretty much done, and he has to make that call at the end of the day. So, like when I say that they were in the right places, they just weren't acted upon in the right way. Because if he was informed like everybody else, there's easy to say he could have easily been on the same page Luffy and all of them were if he was there, if he had a seen and heard the conversations that the shipwrights had. But he was so tied in his emotions, and the misinformity, and when you throw in that he already feeling like he useless and he done messed up the money. Now you throwing in the misinformation, his ignorance, and his own pride. And it's like it was breed for disaster.
I think like the stuff she said is true, but I think it's like an ancillary or like a not the main thing. The main thing is as soon as he says that we can't use the Mary anymore, he has to admit that he has no use anymore. That's the big conflict with Usopp right now.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not a. I'm not what. No, you're misunderstanding where I'm talking about. I'm not putting anything on a pedestal as higher than anything. I'm just understanding the whole picture and what it is and as it's going. Everything you're saying is true for the Usopp that we have, and that's what made Usopp come out and be more.
So a better way. I don't think Usopp's misinformed. I think it is.
No, he 100% was misinformed.
Like,
he didn't hear. He wasn't there for the conversations.
He probably knows that a damage kill's unfixable.
But he didn't hear the same conversations because the thing about it with what we did skip and didn't go over, the same way Usopp was acting was the exact same way Luffy and Nami reacted when they told him that they couldn't fix the ship anymore. That was the same way they reacted. But they also, just like Usopp, the shipwrights also had to talk them down to get them to understand that, hey, the keel's busting means it's really not fixable. Because Nami and Luffy didn't just stop after they said it either. They also had to be talked down. That's why I mean where the misinformation comes in, because Usopp also had to be talked down, but he wasn't going for it because, like you said, his ties to it were stronger. And when we mix in that his ties to it were stronger, you're missing the fact that he didn't hear the same things that the shipwright said that Nami and Luffy heard. Then you mix in his pride with it because he already feeling like he lost the money. The money is the reason why they can't fix the ship. It's his fault. So now he's battling with himself all at the same time while trying to battle with the idea of losing to Mary for the first time, not the second time, because for Nami and Luffy, this is their second time talking about it and having to go over it again with Usopp. So this is Usopp's first time getting the concrete news. And when you mix that in with him and his pride and his attachment with the ship, it makes sense, but it's a lot. Like, it's a big picture. No part is like that's the big picture. I think
there is a part that's above all of it is what I'm getting at. Like, all the stuff you said, while true, the big reason that, because we see when he goes off with, when Frankie kidnaps him and everything, and we see how he's acting about the wreckage of it, it's as soon as he admits that they can't use the Mary anymore, he has to admit that his dream is dead.
Yeah.
Like, he can no longer be, like, he can no longer achieve his dream, at least in his head, is what's happening. It's, in his head, it's, I can no longer be a brave warrior of the sea because I couldn't keep a ship together. That was my responsibility because I'm useless.
Yeah,
and then,
Usopp,
like, it makes everything, like, I think it makes everything else 10 times worse because this big,
but you can't,
his entire self-worth is connected to the Mary.
But you gotta ask yourself the question though, what if he was there? What if he was there with them and got the same information that Luffy and Nami did? What if Usopp was there? What if it was Nami, Usopp, and Luffy who came there and all three of those shipwrights had to tell all three of them that stuff happened? Then later he loses the money and then he comes back. A lot of those emotions and stuff about the Mary and them having that spat would have never happened. And if you that's where it comes, where you have to take the whole big picture and encapsulate it, because all that ignorance was a big part of that situation going south. And that's Usopp's stuff to deal with. This is the character that Usopp has been throughout the stuff that we have seen, and this is it coming to a head. And he can no longer, the character we've seen him be through the story can no longer blossom into the way that it has been. So he has to take the right road. But that's the situation that breed it. Because if he was there, I still think he would have, I firmly believe the way Usopp was, if he was there with Luffy, Nami, and them, after they leave, he still try to find some way to kind of weasel them into finding a way to fix the Mary. that's because of his attachment to the ship. And I think Luffy would have went for it because he's also attached to the ship and he values Usopp's word. But that didn't happen. So now, because one thing about Luffy and Usopp, they always kind of got the same thought process through a lot of stuff. They play together. They kind of same way where they act a fool together. So, like, it was almost like Luffy having to take Usopp and bring him up. Like, bro, face reality. Like, Mary's done. It's not coming back. Be a man. Deal with it. And Usopp wasn't having that because he didn't get that same information and that same kind of mental breakdown that he had to have with the shipwrights that Usopp didn't get. Because I feel like that's the shipwrights telling them, it's almost like the doctor telling you can't, like you got 24 hours to live type of feeling that Luffy dealt with without Usopp. And I feel like that kind of shaped Luffy to push Usopp the way it did, because he was like, he would have went through the same vulnerabilities the same way Luffy was. If Usopp had been there, he would have felt that same vulnerability and same kind of emotion.
I think that if the money would have got stole after he learned about the keel, I think he'd have the same reaction. I think he would have been like, no, we can't get in the Mary. Like I'm saying, I think everything is predicated on, if he has to admit he has to get to the Mary, they have to get rid of the Mary. It's the Straw Hats admitting they have to get rid of him. And I think that, like, it's the first time he's had a group of people actually respect him. Like, for the first time ever. You know? Like, we see, like, when he was growing up, like, no one respected him because he was just a kid that just told a bunch of lies and that most of the townspeople didn't like. And you know the reason that he tells lies is just because he tries to cheer his mom up until she died. But he kept doing it afterwards to impress the kids and then to impress Kaya and everything. But, like, it's the first time he was ever taken seriously.
For, the most part.
Like,
I wouldn't even say it was taken seriously. It's where he, like, fits in more than anything.
Like, but it's the first group of people that ever took him serious. It's the first people that gave him a place that he legitimately belongs.
Yeah.
And so by giving up a piece of something that was gifted to them by someone he cares about, he has to admit they have to give him up too. Like, that's what happens when in Usopp's head. It's not what actually is happening.
Yeah, in
Usopp's head,
it's all that breeds it because of the character that he's been thus far. Yeah, that's why all of that is true.
If the Mary's not good enough, I'm not good enough. And if the Mary can't be fixed, I can't be fixed. So that means I can't do anything. Because when he's with Frankie, he admits that he can't do anything with the Mary. Mm-hmm. That he's just going to go try to give the Mary like a good last voyage and then go back to the East Blue because he knows like he can't survive. So he's accepted the fact that it can't survive. He just wants to, like what you would do with your dog. You give him like the last best day ever.
Yeah.
Or like with your homie that you know is about to die. He's just, so he completely understands that it's just that he can't say it, because if he says it, he admits that he's useless.
And that's also the level of character development he hadn't got to yet.
Yeah.
Firmly
but also,
believe in
like,
that.
They don't, I feel like Oda did it too fast. Like, he didn't put enough of those moments in the story, because there's times where you think, there's times where Usopp clearly buys into his own hype too much. Mm-hmm. Like there's been a bunch of moments where you can tell like Usopp is 100% drinking his own Kool-Aid.
Bro, we've always known that.
I get that, but I'm saying, like, I wish there would have been a couple more moments before this where Usopp's just like, fuck, I'm kind of useless. But then immediately drink his own Kool-Aid again. Because there's moments where he's just like, I'm too weak, but he doesn't. He always.
This isn't
thinks
the first one though. This is only Usopp's first real moment of like self-reflection. everybody gets a self-reflection when Ace dies.
No. I get that it's like his. I wish that there would have been like earlier on, because like he wholly accepts the entire story that he's too weak to fight on the level of everyone else.
But that's the point of his character. He's supposed to be the dude that's like drinking his own Kool-Aid, not really looking at things from outside other than just trying to satisfy his own lie. And that's understandable that this is his first one. And it takes something serious like this to move a mind like that.
I'm just saying, like, it would have felt more human if there would have been like a moment where you see what he's thinking and he like stops sipping the Kool-Aid for a second, and then because the Kool-Aid's just a defense mechanism, and then like there'd be like a second where like there's moments where he's just like, I'm useless in a fight, but he admits that freely, but he doesn't admit that he's useless to the crew. I wish there was like a moment in like Alabasta or something where he's just like,
but see,
maybe not Alabasta, maybe in like Scapia.
But doing that takes away from the same thing that Chopper and Brook go through when they get in the crew. Because you see, especially when Chopper goes in the crew, when Chopper gets in the crew, he feels like he's useless as soon as he gets there. And what does Zoro tell him? Zoro tells him, or no, matter of fact, it wasn't Zoro, it was Usopp. Usopp tells him that you try to fit in and do what you can. So what that means, you do as much as you can, and when you can't do any more, you be safe. It's like at that point it would rewrite that stuff, because it's like they already put that precedent in for other members. So
no, I don't think it rewrites that, is what I'm getting at though.
How not? Because if you've already told Chopper to do what you can do and run when you can't, and it's already been acceptable for another member, why would it not? If at the point at which he starts looking at himself as being useless to a crew that already told you you're only useless until you're not trying to do something for the crew, or you're not trying to do things for the betterment of the crew. Like once he starts doing that, I mean, because everybody starts doing exactly what you're saying they should do in a little bit.
Yeah, like I know that they're gonna be doing it more. I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying I wish Usopp said like I don't deserve this crew. I'm just wishing there's like a, because we hear his thoughts every so often. Like, we hear every character. Like, if one of his thoughts was just like, what good am I to the crew anyway? And then him immediately be like, by the way, Chopper, did I tell you about the time I killed God? Like, one of those moments. You know what I mean? Like, if, like, it would have, like, made him feel more organic. This big blow up here that he has over the Mary, it would have felt more organic if it was done that way. Like, I'm not saying it's done terribly here. I'm just saying this is how I think it could have been done better. It's just make it not a blow up here, but make it like or not that it's a blow up here, because it still needs to be a blow up here, because this is like the big thing, because this goes into like Luffy's character development too. Mm-hmm. Because Luffy's finally
feeling the Straw Hats development in a general. Because there was a lot of things that happened in this moment that not only for Usopp but for the crew itself. Because Zoro tells us that, like, Zoro's the one that keeps us in line about how a pirate crew is ran, and everything that Usopp's doing right now is highly disrespectful to a pirate crew and their captain. And
well, that's why I said like Zoro clearly understands his role in all this. Because he understands what's going on completely. He's like the only one that fully understands what's going on. And then, like, I just think that it should have been like a moment where Usopp was just like, fuck. I need to cool off with the Kool-Aid for a bit. Because that's what like a normal person does when they realize they're screwing up. Like, the voice in their head tells them that they're screwing up, and then all of a sudden you just fall back into the defense mechanism. That's just like how a human brain works, because it doesn't want you to admit that you're wrong. Because as soon as you admit that you're wrong, you're a bad guy in your own head. So your brain doesn't like. So I wish Usopp would have had that moment before this. He has them after it. He has them after this moment.
I mean, only one subtle-ish before this was that I can think of, is just off the top of my head, was when he was fighting the dude from the fishman during the Arlong shit when he was just talking like how he was running from him and how I'm gonna keep running from him and stuff like that. It was subtle. It was very, very small. But that's the only thing like that I can like solely somewhat compare. Not even for
but
real.
But remember the entire time though, he's like hyping himself up.
But he didn't start hyping him until he landed that first hit in though. Like once he landed that first.
No. Remember, he hyped himself up from the beginning. He was just like, "You don't know this about me, but I can run forever."
Yeah, but when he first ran from the scene, he wasn't hyping himself up. And then when he found out bro was following him, he was like, "Okay."
But also, that's not the same thing that because
no, it's not.
100%.
It's not the same
like
thing.
The first time we meet him, like he
I already
like,
said it wasn't the same thing.
I can't hold my own physically. Yeah. So, in a physical contest.
But that's still like admitting that, like in of itself is small, but that goes back to understanding your role in the crew.
But I'm saying like,
especially where they are now with Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy being like some people who could really handle themselves at that point versus Usopp.
That's what I like. Before he joins the crew, he's just like, I'm useless in a physical altercation, but I have other stuff I bring to the table. I wish there was a moment where he realizes like that other stuff that he brings to the table isn't what he thinks it is. Like he's not bringing what he thinks he's bringing to the table.
I mean, he's always underplayed what he brought. Well, not always, but for the most part, when it's time and he actually is sent to face some things. He always knows. He always downplays his abilities a lot. Like, even when
it
like
depends on
if
it's engineering, he overplays the fuck out of it.
Yeah, but he never once told them that they didn't need a shipwright.
Yes, but he also didn't say we need one.
Yeah.
Which would have been a real good way if he would have just been like.
But like he didn't say they needed one. He never said they didn't need one. So I'm not going to lean to the negative side of that.
Is him saying he needs someone to help him fix something that came from the same place as him. He admits that he needs help fixing himself, and people don't like to do that.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I see why you're saying it, but like I said, he never... He always overplayed his abilities and always lied a lot, but when he's not so stupid and so self-centered that he will tell them that not to get a shipwright when he knows they need one better than him. I think
a better way to say what I wish he would have like turned off the Kool-Aid drinking just for a second and then immediately turn it back on, like catch himself.
I mean, you know what I mean? Even now, I mean, I still feel like Usopp's not as confident as himself as he needs to be. Even now, where the story is to this point, so it's still a problem to this day. But like, I don't know how far I haven't measured how far he really.
Well, now he just fakes it till he makes it in front of people.
But he
ain't in the crew.
But his growth now mostly is like him just trying to fake it till you make it, but not just he doesn't run away to like fake it now. It's like I'm gonna do this one thing knowing we're like believing the entire time that we're gonna perish, and if we do, we do. If we don't, we don't. Because like with a lot of stuff that happened like in the later arcs, he's given a goal and he tries to complete that goal, but through the whole way of doing it, he's scared out of his mind, but just constantly continues to work towards said goal. And whether it goes through or it doesn't is like a surprise to him every time. Every time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But so Usopp and Luffy get in a big argument. Usopp says, I see the Mary as one of our friends and I won't abandon her when she's hurt. Luffy says, don't be stupid. Even if she is a friend, that doesn't mean she's a person. Usopp counters with, she is to me and she has the strength to live, but you wouldn't appreciate that because all you care about is getting a new ship to play with. And that like goes into what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
Like Usopp's clearly projecting what he feels is going to happen to him to the Mary. Like he's afraid that they're going to get a shipwright and that like the utility he provides the crew
goes
disappear.
down. Yep.
Yeah.
Goes completely down. And it does feel that way when you hear him talk.
And then Luffy almost says, like, if you don't like my decisions, then get off my ship. But Sanji kicks him right before he can finish the sentence.
Yep.
And says, Sanji tells him, don't say anything that you will regret later. But honestly, I don't think Luffy would regret it. Because, like, Luffy's real good about saying stuff that he feels he needs to say.
Yeah.
So always. I don't think he would have regretted it. I think he would have been like, if Usopp doesn't understand that we can't become better pirates without the ship, as much as I love this ship, then Usopp doesn't want to be a better pirate.
It also goes to one of my favorite traits about Luffy is that he doesn't care about your feelings like that. Like, he gonna tell you the cold hard truth whether you like it or not. However you deal with it is on you. I
think the best way to explain it is that he respects you too much to tell a white lie or a black truth.
I wouldn't even say that. It's about respect because he does it to people he doesn't respect that much too. Like, he does it like naturally, like just not being the dude who cares about like the formalities and.
Well, yeah, he doesn't care about the formalities and stuff.
Like, you see it with the children, like especially in Wano, but we'll get there. You see it how he treats children. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to tell them this, but his thing, but it's the truth and they should know. Like, he'd probably tell kids that Santa Claus isn't real just because he doesn't want them to waste their time, you know, worrying
I
if
think
he was real
Luffy
or not.
would still believe in Santa Claus.
No.
I think he would.
No.
I think he would. But I think the best way to say it is Luffy will tell you the cold hard truth, but he won't tell you black truths.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what black truths are?
I thought you said blank truth.
No, black truths.
What's a black truth?
It's the opposite of a white lie. So a white lie is a lie told not to, like a white lie is a lie told to save someone's feelings. A black truth is the truth told with the sole reason to hurt somebody's feelings.
I wouldn't say Luffy says things to hurt people's feelings.
No. That's not what I said. I said he will tell you the truth, but he refuses to say black lie or black truths. Like, he'll tell you the truth, like the cold hard truth, but he won't tell you a black truth.
So, in Wano...
Like, he won't tell you the truth to hurt you. He'll tell you because you need to hear it.
That's literally what I said in the beginning. Why are we going in circles? Like, why you have to take what I said and just say an additive of it just to go in a circle?
Because it wasn't the exact same thing you said.
No, it is. Like, I just told you that he will tell you the truth, literally not to hurt your feelings, but because you need to know it. Then you took black truth, went through that whole thing just to tell me the exact definition of what I just said. Because the same example I was finna say, which was in Wano with Tama, with her going this whole time thinking Ace was gonna come back, and him straight up telling Tama Ace is dead, verbatim, just like that. For Nami to be right there and tell her you shouldn't tell her that because she's a kid, has nothing to do with it. Ace is dead. He's not coming back. Stop thinking like that. Like, that's for her to understand that she doesn't need to be following a fairy tale that's not true, which I think identifies with Luffy more than anything. That he won't let you follow down something that's not true or something that can end up hurting yourself. Because for Ace, he knows how important Ace was. For Tama hearing that, him telling her, hey, Ace is dead. Like a kid, you wouldn't tell him like that. You would ease it in, but he just tells him the cold, Ace is dead. And that's for her. Is that the same thing?
Kind of, but not exactly. That's why.
So what's the difference?
So he only tells you a truth that hurts when you need it. Is what I'm getting at. Like,
yeah,
you don't need a black.
That's not.
Like, no, I'm saying like there's other characters in the show that'll say black truths. Like Nami will say a black truth,
which is,
or Robin will say a black truth,
which is,
like they'll tell you the truth in a way that's meant to be insulting or hurt your feelings,
which is. Like, I need an example.
I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head, but I know Robin has said them before. But Robin's also comes off as kind of autistic, so I don't think she says it to be mean.
Robin, to me, is supposed to be just the intelligent person of a group.
Yeah,
so putting something extra saying it's a black truth.
No, that's just what it's called.
Okay, well, like
how a white lie is like a lie that's just supposed to save somebody's.
But still, how is a black truth different to what I just explained?
I was just pointing out that he won't say that, won't say one, because they're like a cold truth can also be a black truth.
You're just giving me terms. You're not giving me examples.
No, I'm saying you can tell someone something that they need to hear that's true, but you could also say it because it's mean.
So what's the difference from the example I just gave and saying it's not what's the one difference?
I was just pointing out that he won't do it just to hurt somebody.
He never does. We're not saying he does stuff just to hurt people. That was never the topic. But he doesn't mind telling you something that will hurt you. He knows that will hurt you, but it's only to help you feel better. Because he understands pain is necessary.
I wouldn't even say it's for you to feel better. I'd say it's because he knows it will help you. Because helping you doesn't necessarily mean feel better. If
helping you does ensure that you will feel better eventually. It doesn't mean you'll feel better right now. But helping somebody does mean that they will feel better eventually. It puts them on the right track to feel better.
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
But
and that's what it is. If he doesn't tell her that, it's only adding to her hurt later, the longer she doesn't know. So him telling her now, so she go ahead, wrestle with the idea like he did. Wrestle with everything, every truth, every fallacy you want. Just end up finally accepting that, hey, he's not coming and now you can heal. Versus doing that whole process later. That's what I mean by it. That's I'm just trying to understand the term fully.
Which term?
The black truth. You said it's not exactly what I said, so I'm just trying to understand the term fully.
No. So, what's it called? I was just trying, because, when I say a term, it's not just for us. It's also because, because not everyone that will run into this is a One Piece fan.
Yeah, but
and that's
still,
why I think it's important to say.
If I'm going to give an example of something and you call it something different, it's important to fully explain why that's
I didn't
that
say
example.
Luffy will say a black truth. I said he will not say a black truth.
But what did you call the black truth?
A black truth would be I'm a big dude. I'm fat. So it'd be you telling me it truthfully to hurt my feelings.
Telling what to you truthfully to hurt your feelings?
That I'm fat. That's a black truth. But Luffy won't say it to hurt you because that's what black truth means. It's you're saying it to hurt someone.
With the sole purpose to hurt someone?
I don't know if it's necessarily sole purpose.
The first purpose?
But with one of the purposes to hurt someone. He's not saying it to hurt someone. He's saying it. So, he might say something hard to hear, but he's saying it.
Here's why I don't.
Purely to.
Here's fully why I don't understand that. Because you can't control how someone feels about what you say. That's explicitly why I use that Tama one as an example and her being a kid. Because him saying that could have easily been looked at as something very immoral. You don't say that to a kid. You don't do that to her because she's a kid. But him telling her that because she needed to hear that is something that we would only understand because of what Luffy has been through.
Yeah, but that's not a black truth.
But let's go. Okay, still. But let's go back to your example of calling you fat with the intent to hurt your feelings. Only you can get hurt by that term.
Yeah, but so it's the intention of the truth / lie that is what it's supposed to be, right?
But still, someone can call you fat with the intention to help you.
Yeah, And that wouldn't be a black truth.
That's why I don't understand.
I was pointing out for people because just in case, like the reason I'm pointing it out now is in, let's say, like a year or so, it's not just One Piece fans that are running into this, but people that are interested in the ideas that we're trying to cover, right?
Yeah, but I still need to understand too if we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, but I'm saying the reason I'm pulling it up is because I don't want someone to think that Luffy will, like, tell the truth all the time.
I'm not saying that. I'm not truth. Telling you. I'm not challenging you because you don't need to bring it up. I'm challenging you because I need to understand it also, because if I don't understand it, then how I'm going to apply it to what we're talking about.
Yeah. So the like best way to say it is it's a truth that is told with not necessarily the primary reason, but it's normally the primary reason for telling said truth is to hurt the person that you're telling it to. Like, it's not always. The primary reason isn't always to hurt the person, but hurting the person is part of the reason you say it.
So it is part of the reason you say it is with the intention to harm.
Yes.
So yeah, Luffy will never tell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
unless, like, he always tells the truth,
the pain is for them,
but it's not to hurt them.
But that's it's not with the first purpose to hurt them. But
or not even with the first purpose. It's he doesn't say something with the intention of hurting. Almost nothing Luffy says has the intention of hurting somebody.
Yeah, in his own intention. Yeah, but here's the thing though. Him telling people things that, like, even the same example I just gave, him telling Tama that Ace is dead, is no way he knew telling her that wouldn't hurt her. So he told her that because he had to tell her that.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be a black truth because he's not, just because it will hurt someone.
Okay,
so it doesn't have to hurt this person to be a black truth. To be a black truth, it has to be coming from the person.
This person that said it.
Wanting to hurt.
So it's strictly intention of speaker.
Yes.
Strictly 100%.
It's like a white lie. It's like the opposite of or I guess it would be the inverse of a white lie. Like a white lie is a lie you say to save someone's feelings. Yeah. Or to, like, save your own feelings. A black truth is the exact opposite in both ways. It's a truth said
to help someone's feelings.
No. To hurt someone's feelings. Like, you're just, the speaker of a black truth is just trying to hurt feelings.
So back to your example, someone calling you fat is not in a black truth. Would their
like
only
they could
way
mean it as a black truth.
Their only way of telling it is to cause hurt to you. But
no. If they say it just to hurt my feelings, it's a black truth. If they're saying it to be helpful, it's just a helpful truth.
But that's literally, like, contextual at that point.
No, it's contextual for the person listening to it, but the person saying it knows whether or not they're saying it to hurt you or not. Like Luffy with Tama example, that's him telling a useful truth that'll help her later. Yeah. It has nothing to do with hurting her. He has no intentions to hurt her. It is just saying.
But he's not doing he's saying it because she needs to hear it, not because he knows it'll hurt her.
You're not saying, you don't tell someone a black truth for that reason. A black truth is to hurt someone's feelings. He's not, like, he might hurt her feelings, but he's not trying to hurt her feelings.
I get that. But it's like, when we go back to your example, it's like that's an example that you can choose whether to be hurt or not. It's one of those things.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Like, I can choose to be hurt or not, but the person could choose how they say it. And if they choose to say it maliciously, then it is a black truth. Is what I'm getting at. And why I was making the distinction. So it's like basically saying something
Luffy won't, like, trying to hurt you but still true it simultaneously.
Yes, so you can tell someone a truth that might hurt them simultaneously while not trying to hurt them. Yes, that is possible. like what's it called? Like saying like, let's say like you're at a doctor's office and the doctor says you have cancer. That's not a black truth. But if he says something like you have cancer because God hates you, that would be that could be a black truth. It's not necessarily a black truth, but it could, like if he tells you, or like let's say like the doctor tells you have cancer, right? Because you had a test. That's just the truth. It could hurt your feelings, but it's just the truth. But if you get an argument with your kids and your kid says, oh yeah, well you acting like this is why you have cancer, that would be a black truth. Because they're using the truth to hurt you.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's just people don't really talk about black truths a lot. So I just thought it was a good bit of context to make sure to say Luffy won't tell someone a black truth. Like, his strength of character is too strong. Because it does take at least a momentary lapse of character to tell someone a black truth. Because black truths hurt more than any lie.
I'm with you.
So that's why I felt it was worth pointing out. Yeah, that's why I felt it was worth pointing out, just because it's not a topic that comes up a lot. And so from there, Usopp says, if you're going to throw away the Mary, you might as well throw away me too, to Luffy. And Luffy accepts the resignation. And Usopp challenges Luffy to a duel at 10 p.m. that night. And a thing that I thought was pretty cool and fitting is that this upheaval of the Straw Hats' norms is that it happens at sunset. Because, like, you know that everything that's good that happens, for the most part, happens in the sunlight, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Like, when Luffy wins a fight, like, it gets the sun shining on it. Like, Luffy's clearly shown with the rising sun all the time.
For the most part of the time.
When something is triumphant, like, when the Straw Hats are triumphant, there's the sunlight. But when this happens, when it's like a breaking of the Straw Hats, it's at sunset. And then at 10 p.m. that night, Luffy and Usopp duel. In the duel, Usopp looks like he's doing good, but it's really Luffy just doesn't want to hurt him. Because Luffy understands like how big the disparity in their strength is. And like there's this one moment where, because Usopp still messed up from getting beat up twice earlier that day. Like, Luffy comes up to punch him, and Usopp fakes being hurt by spitting up a bunch of fake blood, and it makes Luffy stop. And he shows like how much he has in his bag of tools, like not his actual bag of tools, but like what he actually brings to the table. But it's still not enough to even come close to Luffy. Like, he outsmarts Luffy in setting off like a kind of bomb, because he hits him with a bunch of rotten eggs, and he hit a breath dial to make a big explosion, but the big explosion does almost nothing to Luffy, and so Luffy just knocks him out, and he leaves him to Mary, and they move into a hotel for the night. The next day, Iceberg gets shot brutally 5 times. It's like 2 in the front, 3 in the back. I can't remember exactly, but he gets shot 5 times. He's only 4 away from 50 cent status. And then, so everyone thinks the Straw Hats did it. Frankie comes back from spending the $200 million or berries, and the Straw Hats have to figure out what's going on, and Luffy breaks in to talk to Iceberg. Iceberg tells Luffy that it was Robin that shot him. Luffy can't believe it, but like, Robin's done a lot of sketchy shit at this point.
A lot. We get to
Frankie
Frankie and Luffy fight for the first time. That's when they find out that he ain't got no devil fruit. It's really just he's a cyborg. Yeah,
he's a cyborg that works off cola.
Bro, I wish cars did.
That it would be a pain to clean up a car that ran off cola, though.
You think we'd do it? We'd be paying somebody to do it. It would be for us to deal with it.
Yeah, but then it would end up... real quick, though. How much does a... So, I don't want cars to do that because 2 liter is like just over half a gallon, and they cost like $2. And a gallon of gas here costs $3. So, I don't want to... I'll pass on running on cola. Sounds like it'd be a little bit more expensive here.
It wouldn't.
Well, if it could run off the 3 bottles of cola like he does, then yes, totally worth it.
The amount of stuff Frankie's able to do on just 3 bottles of cola, bruh.
Breathe fire, shoot air bullets.
Obviously, that cola working overtime.
I want to know what their cola tastes like there. Because remember, it doesn't matter what brand of cola it is. You know, because like...
Well, they never really go into any
but it also
recipes.
Changes... Well, not necessarily recipes, but it works off more than just cola. Because like in the time skip episodes, he runs off tea.
It doesn't do the same thing.
But like, he still has like the same powers, roughly.
No. You never see him actually fight on anything but cola.
I get the implication is that he has the same power. Like his hairstyle's different and everything.
He could change his hairstyles.
But remember, he uses his pompadour to tell you what his fuel level's at.
His what?
Pompadour, his hair.
Oh.
That's how he.
Yeah, that's how he does it. But he ends up being able to change his hairstyle like at will. So.
Yeah, especially post time skip because his nose turns into a button that cuts his hair. That's so fucking stupid.
That's Frankie running off cola is definitely like a crazy detail. Even the ship running off cola, yeah.
So now everyone's trying to find Robin. And Sanji and Chopper run into Robin. And she's just like, I'm sorry I pinned this crime on you guys, but y'all never see me again. She says, inside me, I carry a darkness that none of you know about. One day that darkness will be the end of all of you. Also, there's an important point that I forgot to point out in the duel with Usopp and Luffy. The duel is a representation of Usopp confronting his inadequacies by facing the absurd. I forgot to mention that part. I wrote that down. I just forgot to say it. And then, after seeing Robin, Luffy, Zoro, and Nami have the brilliant idea to break into Iceberg's place at night, and Chopper's there too. They're gonna break into Sanji's place, or not Iceberg's place at night, and then at night it gets attacked by a bunch of masked people. We find out Frankie knows the old drunk lady from earlier at the bar.
Bruh, I meant to say this. Well, we're getting to the part now, but you remember the Chekhov's gun?
Chekhov's gun? Yeah.
Bluno. 100%.
Yeah, Bluno would be one.
100%.
Oh yeah, these people don't know about the Chekhov's gun.
We did talk. Oh, we lost the episode.
Yeah. They don't know what we're talking about. So last week we were talking about how, because this isn't an actual concept, but I was saying One Piece One Piece has a bunch of what I like to call false Chekhov's guns, which is like things that don't matter now but matter later, but they only matter later because Oda went and connected the dots post like he made the future based off those things. Like he clearly didn't plan on them being like it's things like the concept of Chekhov's gun is like if you show a gun in a movie within it, like if you linger on a gun, you better use that gun by the end of the movie. It's like that. But there's moments in One Piece that are like the opposite of that, where they're there and they're little things, but then later on Oda decided it'd be cool if these were connected.
Yeah. So like Bluno being
moments, one. There's a few. Well, no. Like Bluno might actually be an actual Chekhov's gun. Like Montera is an actual Chekhov's gun. What's it called? I'd argue when they run into Lucci for the first time and he fights Paulie, that's a Chekhov's gun. I would argue. Because it's like what the entire fight's about to be about. Because remember he catches himself with a handstand, but he's just holding a piece of rock with his fingers, and they're just like, dude, your fingers are like iron.
Yeah, but they don't tell us why.
Yeah, but that's what makes it a Chekhov's
gun. But no, it wouldn't, because he's a shipwright. You know, everything in that fight was kind of leaning towards them being shipwrights and why they were doing stuff.
But even the shipwrights comment on how strong his fingers are.
But yeah, but he's a shipwright though. Like we get it that's probably why he got it from. But why I would say Bluno would be a better one, because Bluno literally goes from being a bartender to being a whole freaking agent to having skills that a bartender wouldn't have. Like it's easy to draw having strong fingers to you being a shipwright, but him being able to take a punch, do all this shave stuff, to being a bartender, that's a little harder. That's a little harder.
But the thing is, it's like the reason I think the fingers work as a good Chekhov's gun is because that's the CP knot. So it's like one of those like a Chekhov's gun is better when they convince you that it's not important. Like Bluno's entire thing, they like convince you that he's not important.
Yeah.
Like the odds of Bluno being important are very low.
Yeah.
The odds of, like, it's interesting that Lucci's fingers are that strong, but the entirety of One Piece doesn't give you any reason to think about it. But then you see that's their secret technique is their fingers.
Yeah, one of them, yeah. Yeah.
Like their main offensive ability. But then Lucci's is even more special because he happens to be that's what I'm getting at. It's like, so if it was like Kaku or something like that, that's like kind of one, but the fact that it's Lucci and then stack it on top of it like Lucci's a leopard, so his fingers are claws, so it's like he has claws of steel, or no, it's iron, claws of iron. Like it just works out better as one. It takes like 15 episodes to get the payoff for it, which isn't a bad amount of episodes. But
I mean, when you got over 1,000, you can't really count episodes.
No. I'm saying point. Like for a Chekhov's gun payoff, it's not a bad amount of episodes.
I mean, still.
Like, no. I'm saying like the less episodes for the payoff, the worse it is.
Why?
For a Chekhov's gun, because then it's just like, oh, I remember that thing. Or not I remember that thing, but it's more like you don't have a chance to think about why they show that.
Wait, so paying off would mean like it being fulfilled or being shown its greatest use, or
not necessarily, but could be.
So then what? Then what's the payoff?
The payoff is that for like which part?
Like if you say a Chekhov's gun has to pay off, that means there's a lifespan, or not a lifespan, but stages it has to go through. So, at what stage is the payoff? Like what thing when you see this thing that's supposed to be shown as this useless now has some use? What's the last stage?
No, the payoff is that it's not useless. The payoff is that it actually mattered. So that's why the longer you go before you show off that it mattered, the better it feels when you finally see it pay off. Because it's like in a movie, it doesn't work properly if you show them using the thing in the second act. But if you do it at the end of the third act, it feels fulfilling. Because it's done in a way that is fulfilling. So
that's
Bruno,
a criteria of it has to be
like
fulfilling.
Imagine if Bruno showed up one episode earlier. Like if there would have been an episode in between Bruno's bar and them showing it was Bruno, it would have felt a little bit better. Not because the Bruno thing feels bad, but just because Bruno, the idea of a big dude at a bar showed up here, and then an episode and a half later there's a big dude in a mask. I wonder if they're related. If you would have had a little bit more time, that way you forget about the big dude at the bar. Yeah, to forget about it, that way when they show back, like there's like 15 episodes between like Lucci showing off how like ridiculously strong his fingers are and why his fingers are so strong. And so you completely forget about the fact that he had the OP fingers until he does it. And you're just like, oh yeah, remember when he grabbed the concrete? Like that. Like that's what. So it doesn't always feel better the longer you go.
No, I'm just
but on
like
average it feels
like
better.
I'm just drawing different examples together, trying to understand the whole picture. I get it. No, I get it now. It's just like,
and Kuroko being like Frankie's adopted mom.
Who?
How you say your name? Kokoro. That's it. I added an extra R. Kokoro being like Frankie's mom makes it feel better because she's just there and she's Iceberg's old drinking buddy. No, she's not. She's actually Iceberg's surrogate mother.
Yeah.
Like that. And then like Frankie knowing her as old hag Kokoro. Like,
yeah.
Like
Grandma Kokoro.
Like the more space in between those moments, the better it feels. When you get to, normally,
I see what you're saying.
The better it feels. Yeah.
Like Laboon.
Or it should be, the more context you get in between those moments, the better it feels. It's probably a better way to say it.
Like Laboon and Brooks' relationship.
Yeah. Like if Water 7 if they would have ran into Brooks in Water 7, it would have felt not as good.
Not as impactful because you remember Laboon and directly correlating him to when they first entered the Grand Line. You would want to meet someone so close so soon because it makes it feel, oh yeah, we just saw that whale, versus when not saying that whale.
Yeah. That's that's what the Chekhov gun feels like when they finally use it. It's like, oh, that gun. Like that's why it feels good. Is because it's like.
So what do you call it when it's one of those things that you find out like way after the fact? Like you go and it's a thing. Like, okay, say you never pay attention to the fingers, and you go through the whole thing and you see he do finger pencil, and then you go back and see that scene again, and it's like, that's why he got them fingers. Like I never noticed that before. Is that a different thing or the same thing? Just
so it's
delayed?
Like the same thing, but when you people normally call those Easter eggs.
Yeah.
But an Easter egg is technically like a Chekhov's gun.
Just
like if
different.
it matters for the plot, it's like a Chekhov's gun. Like it's not exactly like
so,
it. But
okay,
I'm
with you.
But yeah. So if like when it's done properly, it feels awesome.
Yeah.
Like another non-One Piece related one would be I'm trying to think of another anime one.
Shit, I tell you one. When we fucking I ain't gonna lie. When they revealed that all the damn tail beasts had names and we just been calling them by their tail this whole show. I ain't gonna lie, when I felt Kuruma's name, he was like, what's your name? Oh, it's Kuruma.
That happened late.
Oh, man. Like, bro, they really called you Nine-Tailed Demon this whole show, and you really got a government name out here. I ain't gonna lie, I felt a little bit, but I don't think that's the same thing.
That's really a check out. That's just like he had to have a name the whole time, sort of thing. But like what's a good Naruto one?
With Itachi and killing the clan versus.
It'd be Obito's room.
Yeah.
Okay. Where he has all the eyes, because you find out he's the one that helped him.
Yeah.
And he could that'd be a really good, because it's so impactful. Mm-hmm. Because the Chekhov's gun isn't the eyes. It's the fact that he has all the eyes, so Danzo couldn't take them.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
And that's why he helped, is so Danzo couldn't take, stuff like that. That's.
I'm with you.
That's good writing right there, guys.
But yeah, Robin and her telling them that they got a dark side of her that they were never supposed to find out, and it's gonna consume them, and they gonna die.
Yeah, and then we CP9 beats the Straw Hats almost as easily as Aokiji did. Not quite as easily, but pretty darn.
Yeah.
And we learned that there's this dude named Tom, Fishman Tom, who is considered the greatest shipwright of all time. He made Roger's ship.
The Otto Jackson.
And he probably made a couple other famous people's ship, if we had to guess.
Didn't tell us. You crafty little bastard.
I wouldn't be surprised if he made Shank's ship.
I definitely wouldn't be.
Or Whitebeard's.
I would like freaking Shanks is what happened between him leaving Roger Pirates and
you know what I would really like? I would like to know that Tom just happens to make all the Emperor's ships until he died.
That would be cool.
That'd be a nice little, he made Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, and
we still actually don't even know what Kaido's ship looks like. They pointed that out recently. It kind of bothers me.
What if he forsook his ship because he claims Pluton is his ship?
Nah.
Because Pluton's supposed to be a ship.
But Kaido never has shown any interest in Pluton the whole time he was there.
He might not have. I'm just saying it's an idea. But it turns out the thing that made that why CP9's there is Tom is the dude that has the plans. He was trusted the plans of Pluton, which is a completely indestructible battleship. And the world government wants it so that they can build it. Now that there's nobody knows what happened to the old Pluton. They want to build a new Pluton. And it would be completely unstoppable because nobody else has a Pluton. It's kind of like the nuclear arms race argument is if they have a nuke and no one else has a nuke, they get to choose how the world goes. Yep. It's like their entire thing with it. And then we get a flashback. We find out that Frankie is actually Iceberg's adopted little brother because he was abandoned by his family, but he was a genius engineer as a kid and was making cannons out of wood, which if you don't get why that's impressive, it's really impressive. Because remember, cannons explode. Wood doesn't like exploding, and it's very flammable. So super impressive that he was making cannons out of wood. And Tom took him in. Kokoro helped Tom with everything, so that's how she's their adopted mom. And then Iceberg, being Tom's prize pupil, was given the plans, but Iceberg was just everyone's going to come after me because they know. So Frankie faked his death trying to save Tom's life because they were going to take him to a nice lobby to execute him for building Roger's ship.
Mm-hmm.
Tom's also the dude that made the Sea Train, by the way, so he's a very cool dude. Props to Tom. Also, I want to know if Tom knew Fisher Tiger.
I think he did.
Because it lines up in time frame because Fisher Tiger started over 20 years ago.
No, I think he did. Because I think Tom has the Sun Pirates tattoo.
Yeah. Tiger Fisher's a really good character. I'm ready to get to it. Or Fisher Tiger. Tiger Fisher sounds cooler.
It does, but for a fish man, though?
It still sounds cooler. Because he's just like, I fish for tigers. Like, that's impressive. Especially with some of these One Piece animals, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'd be more impressed by someone... Because, you know what? We haven't seen very many sharks. But, we have seen some giant-ass tigers. So... Like, the tiger Luffy eats at the end of the time skip.
Yeah.
There's a big fucking tiger. It's like a fucking, like... 15-foot tall tiger or some shit. Like it's legs to head, not like nose to tail. But they do all that stuff. We learn the flashback. We learn Frankie's secretly, what's his name? Cuddy Clam?
Yep, real name Cuddy Clam.
Yeah. And he faked his death after trying to save Tom to hide Tom's magnum opus, which, well, not really his magnum opus, but the thing that he was entrusted to by his master.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to save it, and CP9 wants it because CP9 sucks. Yep. It stands for Child Predators 9. Because there's 9 of them.
9 whole
Dude,
group.
why else would they wear children's masks? Huh?
I ain't going down that rabbit hole.
That's right. I'm calling the world government in both One Piece and in real life child predators. That's right. They all a bunch of Aubreys.
Oh, Lord.
That's right. I'm calling you out. That's why they hide in the Epstein's list. And by the way, guys, I do not want to commit suicide. By the way. Like, I don't want to commit suicide. So
I am no way hereby affiliated with any gangs or other organizations.
Yeah, I am not affiliated with any of that stuff. But I had to call it out while I could. And Oda called it out too. So don't be mad at me. But yeah, that's pretty much all that happens in these episodes. Most of it is just character development between Luffy and Usopp. Like, it's them, like, button heads for the most part. That's like almost everything that happens is driven by that. Like, Usopp talks to Frankie, and Usopp still thinks, like, he still, like, doesn't understand that he's more than the Mary. Excuse me. So that's pretty much all that happens. Next week's when we get the cool stuff.
Oh, a lot of it.
Like One Piece, or it's like the next week is when One Piece goes from what I consider a boring anime to not a bad anime. Like so far, One Piece, outside of like the few metaphors we found in it, to me, I find it kind of boring as a story. Just because it doesn't have a real story. But also, I don't think that's fair to say it doesn't have a real story.
You just said it, though.
I know. That's why I'm trying to think of a better way to say it.
Bruh.
I'm trying to be fair. Because
One Piece right now,
a real story.
One Piece right now for you was at a place to where you didn't feel like the story it had was blossoming at the rate that you needed it to be.
It's not even that the rate that I needed it to be. It's more so like...
It's the rate you needed it to be. Because the thing about it is, like, a lot of people's problem with One Piece versus when it is. Because I'll tell you, bruh, like, One Piece took a while, even, like, in my opinion, took a while to grasp, like, fully to me. But even for me, like, the point we at now, I was 100% invested in this show. Only because I wanted to see where everything was going to turn up.
Like, I'm 100% invested in the podcast, but I'm not invested in the show.
100%. You're right. You're right. I get it. It's okay.
No, what I'm trying to say is, like, as someone that's been a, like, not the biggest One Piece fan, I do think it's important that we say that it is unfair. Like, if you say it, it doesn't mean a lot to people because you're a fan. But if someone like me that's not necessarily a fan says it's unfair to say it has no story, because if you say One Piece has no story, you have to say Naruto has no story, and you have to say Bleach has no story, and you have to say Dragon Ball
One thing,
has no
truth that everybody needs to follow. If you ain't watching it, you can't speak on it.
Well,
and that should be true because no, necessarily, because it's going to be people who are in the same boat as you, who haven't seen the whole thing, will say things that it's a bad story or it's not as good as its contemporaries when you haven't seen the whole story to first compare to its contemporaries. And that should be a number one prerequisite for anything. You shouldn't talk bad about something that you haven't fully dove in and tried to even watch. Like, it's one thing to say this is bad, and because I've watched it and don't like it as much as something else I've watched, than to say this is bad only because the comparisons I've seen don't compare as well to what I've actually put time in and watched. Those are two completely different topics.
So, I think you can speak on it if you tried to with an open mind. Like, you can say, like, it wasn't that good and I stopped, but I tried to seriously give it a chance.
Yeah, if you gave it a chance and stopped, then the only thing you can say is that it wasn't your cup of tea. You don't then come to tell other people who haven't watched that it is a trash anime and you should not watch it because you didn't even give it the whole chance to finish it. You only gave it a chance to where you put up with it and no longer tolerate it.
So the reason I don't think that should be the way that we look at it is because with that reasoning, though, with everything bad, we should have to complete it to be able to say whether or not it's bad.
Yes. But even then, because you think about it, everybody has a different cup of tea. Some people don't even like shonen. Some people don't like slice of life. You have to give people a chance to find things to integrate their own cup of tea. You don't get to take someone else's experience away from them because you didn't have the experience that you wanted.
No. I'm saying I'm not saying that it's not a valid argument. I'm just saying that's not the argument that we should hold. Because if that's the argument we hold, then we have to hold it across everything.
You should.
I don't think so. Because I don't think I should have to beat that Golem video game from last year to know that it's bad.
I mean, no. I'm saying that here's what when we get in these conversations and you tell me Hunter x Hunter is the best anime and stuff like that, I never downplay, never say you're wrong because I have not seen Hunter x Hunter. I don't have a leg in that race to tell you Hunter x Hunter is or isn't one of the best animes ever. But if I was to watch it, and I'm talking about fully from the beginning to the end to Chimera Ant arc to whatever, then the only thing I can do is compare it to what I've seen and give you a comparison. But at a point in which I don't get to those arcs and I don't fully watch the story and immerse myself in it and try to understand it to a completeness, I can never argue with you that it's not one of the best because I didn't give it the chance to even find out if it was the best. Like, that's a standard that you should hold across everything, because that way you make sure everybody keeps the exact same experience. No one's experience is being taken away from them, because this might be your favorite anime ever. This might not be. But if I don't like this anime and didn't give it its full chance, I don't get to say that this is trash because I didn't give it the whole way, or tell somebody else is trash because that's going to take them away from it, because they should watch it and get their own opinion about it. Then we can compare opinions later. But everyone should at least have the opportunity or something to go watch if they're going to go critique it.
I agree with that to a degree.
I get it.
Because, like, there's a certain amount of you shouldn't have to see everything as something to know that is bad.
Or it's not your cup of tea.
But also no, that also extends to, because if you can't call it bad, you can't call it good. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the criteria for calling it bad, you can't call it good until that criteria is meet either. So it's like,
that's the case, then we can't call something mid.
No, then there would be, we can only call stuff mid, because everyone uses mid as like a insult, but it just means it's average.
Yeah,
just means it's average.
But even then, those are scales, like still interchangeable of a person, like, because some person who watches this type all the time and these not so much is gonna put those things not so much on different parts of the scale.
So here's the thing: art can be objective, but it has to be old art, and anime as a medium is not old enough to be objective yet. So everything about it is gonna be subjective.
Yeah, I feel you.
I'm trying to think of the youngest piece of art that is objectively good. And it's probably like the Mona Lisa is probably the youngest piece of art that's objectively good. You know what I mean? Like, because to be objective, it has to survive like multiple cultures.
Yeah.
Like, multiple cultures have to be like, this is great.
Have an opinion of it.
Yeah. So, what's that? Like 500 years old now? It's something in that ballpark. So, like, anime is much too... Because, like, technically, manga has existed for 600 years because they call those old pieces of art, of Japanese art, mangas.
Yeah.
But manga, as we know it today, like post-1960s manga, is too young to put it in any objective framework. So, you can't speak on it in any objective framework. You have to speak on it from a purely subjective framework. So,
and the stuff you're subject to speaks because it is a wide variety at this point. Yeah. It may not be, it's been out for long enough to know, but it's definitely wide enough variety for someone to get exposed to only a part of it and not see a part that you know, and vice versa.
Like, so the thing we can say about anime is it's objectively been good to people.
For the most part, yeah.
Like, at least in some regards.
Yeah.
Like, it gives people jobs. It makes a lot of money. Like, in those regards, those are like the only objective things that we can tell about it. You know what I mean? Like, those things. But to talk about it in a subjective light, I think we do need to get out of the way that people do see it now. But there's one bit of objectivity that I did leave out. That Berserk is the greatest manga ever. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. I do think that is objective, though. I think that's a... Now, the anime is not that great. I'll be real with you. Like, the 2018 one sucks ass. And the 97 one was good for anime in 1997. But, like... Yeah, I think we just need to change how people talk about the stuff. To get good ways to see... You know what I mean? I think that's the only way to fix it. So, I'm not too sure though. But yeah, that's going to be it for this week, guys. Remember, if you got anything to say,
anything at all,
even if it's you guys suck, go ahead and say it.
Say it.
Go ahead and say it.
Say it. I dare you.
You'll help us make it better next time. And yeah, that's it for this week. So I hope you guys have a good, 8 hours left that you're awake this weekend. We'll see y'all next week. And I've been Corrupted.
And this has been Drago.
And y'all have a good one.